my dad calls me la viejita de la casa. He's like, ay, ¿cómo voy a creer que tú con tus, like, you know, when you started, con tus 23 años, que estés padeciendo más dolores que yo? Ay, pura exageración.
Welcome, everyone, back to the First and Healing podcast. The guest for today is Esmeralda from Divina Collective. Hey, welcome back, Esmeralda. How are you today? Thank you so much for being up for a part 2.
Thank you. I am super excited. If you guys haven't watched part 1, I suggest you watch it because it's really good. So I'm excited to dive in a little deeper in part 2.
Yes, and it ties so much of what we talk about on the podcast. So that's what I love about not only your story, but what we're going to get to talk about today, which is the first gen experience, and then also like the emotional, physical illness part of it. Porque I think, like we were saying in part 1, as first gens, we're in survival mode. We're living fast, we're moving fast. And it's not often that we get someone that can sit us down and be like, hey, the rhythm that you're carrying yourself at is not normal or sustainable. Potentially stuff stops working, right? Whether it's mental health or physically. Y a lo mejor, like us, people are just kind of like, let's get it fixed, let's get it done so you can keep going, as opposed to being like, whoa, ¿qué está pasando? Maybe there's more, you know? So that's kind of what I want us to talk about today. And one other little piece that I want to bring in is in part 1, you mentioned that masculine energy, which I think we'll try to weave in, porque I do feel and recognize that survival mode puts us in our masculine, whether we're women or men, you know, it puts us in this aspect that makes us disregard our body, our intuition, our internal signals. And so I feel like healing is also a returning and paying attention to all of those things.
Yes, you said it beautifully. Masculine doesn't mean that you have to be a male to embody masculine energy. I think us humans have both masculine and feminine energy, but one has to be more than the other, or at least balanced, because for feminine energy, if you're embodying more of the masculine energy, that's when there could be a lot of imbalances for us, causing issues with like vulnerability. And then also with males, like, yes, it's okay for them to be a little bit more masculine energy, but not so masculine where you forget how to like be feminine energy, because we live in this cultural norm of like, oh, los hombres no lloran. No, bullshit. Los hombres sí lloran because they're humans at the end of the day. They deserve to tap into their feminine energy as well. So just wanted to bring that out there because, yeah, we're
Definitely.
humans.
See, like we grow up with a lot of messaging around who we're supposed to be, y se como que se descompone también as first gens, yo creo, first gen daughters. It's
Yes.
almost like we have this vision that we're gonna have to be puédelos todos, you know, that we're gonna have to be these beautiful feminine mujeres that also get their degrees and that also excel professionally. I think como que se estira demasiado esa definición de who we're supposed to be, you know, until sometimes it snaps, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I think like that snapping is what can be really hard for a first gen to sit with, porque since we are used to this rhythm and being puedelo todos, when something goes south and we don't know how to get it back up, it's like almost like we're trying to just get back to the normal rhythm. You know, we're trying to just get back on the horse. Let's keep going, porque not being on it feels so unnatural, right? Slowing down,
Yes.
paying attention, not having solutions, sometimes just sitting with the problem. That's just not in our nature, you know? I feel like we're not taught that.
It's actually weird to tap into that. Now I'm more comfortable, and you're right, because when I like I was raised to be more of my masculine energy because I'm the oldest, and my dad was like, you know, the pedestal to perform as a person, the
Yeah.
oldest is there, so you have that pressure, and maybe I put it in my head too. It's like, oh well, I have to hacerlo puedo todo, soy chingona, but like also see it in our mothers. You know how
Mm,
ellas hacen la comida, sirven a todos, and they're the last one to tend to their own needs. So what does that
right.
tell you as a little girl? you're always going to come last. And coming last means that you're in your masculine energy because you're serving everybody else but yourself. And coming in contact with your feminine energy and self-care and nurturing yourself, tapping in with your body and asking your body. I know it's weird. Like, how are you gonna ask your body? Like, hey, stomach, how are you doing? It's kind of, or like, you know how you're saying like your uterus, like, hey, uterus, are we feeling tight? What's going on? Like, how can we like move that energy out? How can we start like, it's nobody teaches you this kind of stuff. It's like it's just you're taught to be on this
Yeah.
whole survival mode from our past generations, and we're breaking these generational cycles. So when you're the one breaking the generational cycles as a first gen, is like it feels difficult because you're, for one, you're questioning. You're also realizing like what they're doing is, it's not that they don't know any better, but I don't want to go down that path of like
Mm,
continuing to not tend to myself, at least especially as women, because we have so much trauma, not just from our mothers, but 7 generations, especially with our womb. We carry so
yeah.
much.
See, like you said, it's not easy to start tapping into this stuff on so many layers. I want to just kind of like, no sé, como unpack that, porque
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
Yes.
I want to not no, I don't know if normalize is the word, pero a veces no nos damos cuenta how much is in that bag of, let's say it's like a magic bag que when we dare to like look in, we might see a couple things, be like, oh, okay, a couple things, and then it's almost como que no dejan de salir las cosas, it's like y esto y el otro. And so
It's a
it can
lot.
feel overwhelming. Yeah, it's a lot. And at the same time, like when you dare to look at this bag, haz de cuenta, this is the visual I just got. Like our parents and their generations prior, they're used to agarrando la bolsa y cargándola y corriendo, right? And so like everyone gets used to the rhythm of dale, dale, más, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Mm-hmm.
When you're the one that dares to like, wait, I'm carrying a really heavy bag. Let me peek in there. Como que en lo que haces eso, everyone around you is like, ¿qué haces? Apúrale, recoge tu bolsa, carga tu cruz, right? And let's keep going. And I think like it hits so many layers because like physically it feels unnatural to pause and tend. Mentally it feels unnatural to slow down, comparison wise you may feel like, oh well, I'm falling behind. And so I'm wondering if you have felt that, porque I think like at least myself and those that I've talked to, it is this weird feeling of I'm falling behind, um, feeling guilt and shame around that. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot, right?
Yes. And oh, I'm getting a little emotional because of this. As we've talked on our first part, I do have a chronic illness, and the whole feeling behind hits home
Mm,
because whew, I'm emotional and it's okay. Um, when you have a chronic illness and you've learned to be like chingona, no paras, but when you develop an autoimmune or chronic illness, you are forced to stop, because if you don't stop, it's gonna end up bad.
mm,
And when you are not given an option to stop, that you actually have to stop porque tienes que parar, it feels so uncomfortable. It feels very emotional to sit in that space and be like, why can't I move my body?
mm,
For me, when I
yeah.
flare up, I can't clean. There's times where I'm bed resting.
Mm,
There's times where
mhm,
I can't even go up the stairs. There's times where I can't even clean the house, do errands, because my body just cannot. Like, I just need to let it feel, need to let it rest. And at the beginning, that was really hard because I'm like, I could be multitasking and doing these other stuff, but I'm here. I'm sitting down, and I didn't know how to sit down. So it was really frustrating.
yeah.
And I learned the hard way that I had to learn what resting was so that I could tend to myself, tend to my body. And obviously, this was a spiritual awakening for myself. But then it opened my eyes to like, okay, if this is hard for me, I cannot imagine how it's hard for my mom. And then I
Mm,
started realizing a lot of things. Like, I've heard a couple times where, like, my uncles or, like, my, well, not specifically my dad, but my uncles have, like, told their wives, like, oh, well, ¿por qué estás sentada? Sírveme. Haz que
mm,
hacer, haz la comida or something. Like, those comments where I'm like, it's also, in a way, they were taught that if they're resting, they don't deserve to be resting because they're a woman. They should be doing something. Um,
right.
but I think in general, for like this new generation is breaking a lot of cycles, and men are realizing like we have to be more in our feminine energy and tend to ourselves because why are specifically men's suicide rates high, especially for our culture? Because tapping into the feminine energy, the vulnerable self, is seen as something like that they shouldn't be able to tap into when they're humans. They should be able to. And
Yeah.
so it's this whole disconnection of like unbalance in energies is what I'm trying to get
Hmm.
at.
Yeah. And I think you tapped into something so important, which is worth. And part of what makes it so hard for us to stop is because we tie our worth to our productivity, or
Oh
how
yeah.
we're producing or doing. And that's where, like the masculine energy peaks its head because, like, masculinity is like production, do, build, create, do, yeah, go, go, go. And as women, that's what I mean. Like, como que nos acostumbramos as que that's us being good, quote unquote, right? That's us doing what we're
Yeah.
supposed to. And, I'm sure we could talk about a million things because you even mentioned, por ejemplo, husbands and their messaging to their wives. And I'm thinking of like when they birth babies, birthed in the past, or maybe it's still back in many spaces, I think, how women are expected to pick back up and not only pick back up but like take on the additional responsibilities and look good for
Mm-hmm.
their man and satisfy quote unquote their needs. And it's like, yeah, for so many generations there's been this, and still get cheated on, by the way, freaking people. But side
Yeah.
note, because I'm thinking of like my grandmas, that had 6 kids each and still got cheated on and still were expected to serve their man. But yeah, AKA, there has been a huge disregard for our bodies, for our emotions, for our experience of reality. And I think there's been a forceful energy of put everything to the side and,
Mm-hmm.
meet the expectations. Um, and it takes a lot of, I don't know if courage is the right word, but a lot of different things coming together for us to finally be here and be like, I unsubscribe to that, and that's hard.
Essentially.
Essentially, and sometimes ni que queramos, like you're saying, right? Sometimes it's our, like, a flare up is like a hard stop, hard no. Ni aunque quisiera continuar, no puedo. um I'm wondering también, like, now that you have the name and the words to these things, is it an effective communication with those around you? Like, does your family understand, or do you feel like there's still a disregard and like, ay, estás exagerando, or ay, ¿a poco está tan feo o mal? A mí me dan
Mm.
dolores y yo sigo. I feel like there's this, like, yeah, I wonder
Oh,
how it is for you, pues.
it's been really hard because my dad calls me la viejita de la casa. He's like, ay, ¿cómo voy a creer que tú
Mm,
con tus, like, when you started con tus 23 años, que estés padeciendo más dolores que yo? Ay, pura exageración. I know I've had family members, even last year when I went to Mexico, they're like, are you sure it's not in your head? Because you look fine. Like, no te veo que no tengas
mm,
nada. And I think that's what people don't understand with chronic illness is just because I look fine doesn't mean I'm doing fine. I'm used to living in a level of from 1 to 10. I'm able to tolerate up to an 8 and still look and perform and put this face of like, I'm good. But if I'm in the hospital, if I'm complaining, I am at a 10 to 1,000% in pain, more than my
yeah.
usual. So you just learn to cope with that pain. And so it's very hurtful when family members or people just like, oh, pues yo te veo bien, no tengo que tengas nada, es puro show, you know? So it's like when people don't see the 24/7 of you, like the one that's in bed rest, the one that's like, you know, the tremors, the pain, the cries, everything, because it's not just an emotional pain, it's also a physical and emotional pain, because I'm like, why can't I do that? I
Yeah.
could be doing this. It's a grief. I like to say, because I
Mm,
miss that old body that was able to do all the things, because like I said, yo era bien movida y esto y lo otro, and now it's so different. If But now I'm trying to work, not grieve on that past body, but like look at my body now and be like, how can I honor you? How can I help you? You know, we might not be able to do the things that we did, but that's
yeah.
also why we got here, because we were this was not going to work long run. It was not sustainable. So like moving forward, I'm like, how can I make this sustainable for myself? And I think my parents had to really see the ugly parts of me, the vulnerable
Mm,
parts of me, the frustrated parts of me, to really understand. And I think now, ahora sí me entienden un poquito más, porque I've like les he gritado, les he llorado, les he, like, they've seen it, because at first I didn't allow them to see that part, because
mm,
for me it was like me ponía this front of like I look normal because I don't want you to worry about me, like I'm fine. But that's something
yeah.
I was so used to. But my husband, on the other hand, he's not. I'll tell you, I did a good job at choosing a husband. My husband is so supportive. He's not machista. He's not like, making me feel bad about not being able to clean. Like I
Mm,
don't want to say 50-50, because when I'm not doing good, the reality is that when you have a partner that has a chronic illness or an autoimmune, the male needs to be aware that there's times that he's going to have to put 90%, because your partner cannot even put that, even half of it, because a chronic illness, when they're in their flares or an autoimmune, it is hard. Like you can't
mm,
force them to do what like is expected of them. And
yeah.
my respects to him, porque me aguanta, me ayuda, he's really loving and caring towards me. And I think he has been such a fundamental part of my life, of like how I get to nurture myself and feel nurtured like I've never felt before, like even with my parents.
Wow. Yeah. Ooh. And it's making me think that, man, like what you're explaining is that feminine, like learning how to ask for help, learning how to receive
Yes.
it, learning how to be seen in your mess, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, what we're talking about goes hand in hand with like we're used to being like, look what I've done, look what I've accomplished, or look what I've finished, or not even look, but it's just like that's when I feel worthy. That's when I can feel like I'm okay enough, worthy
Yeah.
enough. And to then like, yes, to make space for yourself in your relationships in ways where you show me duele, lloro, grito. It's not
Pataleo.
always pataleo. um, not every, especially even our parents, right? They don't always know or didn't always know how to make space for that. I kind of bringing in what I mentioned in part one. For me, I've recently been told like I do or confirmed pues que I have PCOS, right? And
Mhm.
I think that it has been that in between of not knowing exactly what it is so strange because not only do you not know for yourself, but then you are kind of facing like, oh, maybe like, eres flojo, no haces mucho, or a tu edad yo andaba de la seca a la meca y mírate a ti,
Mhm.
and so it's hard to defend like, why am I, like you're saying, why am I not at that level, or how come all my family, we generalize in black and white, right? Everyone around me can do it and I can't. Um,
Mhm.
but I think it has also served as a, no sé, for me, I do see some healing in my relationship, let's say with my mom and the mother wound aspect. Because basically for me, there's fatigue, there's like a
Mhm.
lot of like cramping, but it's not just your period, it's like in between. And so now I see the difference of like, she's learning to accept my, I just don't have energy, where maybe in the past it was like, pero es el fin de semana, or no hemos hecho nada, like I think like
Yeah.
there's been some healing on like me making space, And I feel like sometimes ahora I see her making space for her own pain, for her own physical symptoms. And I'm like, wow, no sé, como zooming out at a soul level, I see the lessons también, you know, it's not all bad or good. I see like, como que nos está transformando almost like the physical pain too. I wonder if you've seen it a little bit that way también.
Yeah, it's crazy that you mentioned that because it's like a través de ti, I think your mom is seeing like, wow, like she's really like taking like the initiative to take care of her body. So like she's also learning from you and healing from your experience, even though she's not
Mm,
going through something similar. So that's beautiful. Because
mhm.
like you said, it is hard. I feel like for me, I've distanced myself from my parents a lot, to protect my peace. Just I
Okay,
get really
yeah.
overstimulated, and it's nothing against them. I love them, but I've learned to really put out those boundaries, and I think my parents now understand a little more. Cuando empecé a distanciarme, they're like, oh, now
Mhm.
we're understanding. She's really pushing back, and she's really showing us like this is affecting her, and we keep pushing those buttons, and we keep like disregarding. Because my mom was like very quick to be like, ay, qué huevona, y ay, espérate a que tengas tus hijos, and I'm like,
Mm,
because of this, I don't know if I really want to tap into like going that route because I have the choice.
yeah,
I really have the
yeah.
choice. And I told my mom, and my mom was like, ¿Cómo no vas a tener hijos? Like, tienes que tener, si no, no eres mujer. And I was like, let me tell you. I that doesn't mean I'm a woman or not woman enough. That's just something that you put in your head, and I don't know who put that in your head, but I'm telling you that I have the choice, and if I don't want to, I don't want to, and if I can, pues tampoco no puedo. I'm not pushing it, but don't force me to feel like I need to make that decision, like that I have
Right.
to.
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of steered a different direction. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I think like you're mentioning basically the truth of how our parents sometimes stomach what we go through, or like, yeah, like, or even that difficult decision on our own of creating distance from those that activate us, you know, because
Mhm.
if you get flare-ups and maybe like they're also tied to stress and to just like your internal emotional world, then it doesn't only become a like I me caen mal or I me molestan. Like, no, my body is literally going to show me, you know, that this is impacting me, and I'd rather have my peace, you know, as much as I can. So it almost feels like there's a rewiring that happens on just like a mental one, an emotional one, a familial one, or like de familia, you know, como que, it's so complex, right? I think maybe what I want to just tap into, because this part is a little bit shorter, more of like that spiritual, energetic stuff, you know, like you mentioned in part one, you started to do kind of energy work on yourself. I resonate with that. It was very
Yeah.
intuitive. I didn't take a class. I almost just understood. Por ejemplo, for me, I would get like bloated y se me hacía dura la panza, right? And so it would
Mhm.
hurt. And I was like, I feel like this is emotional. I feel like there's like, como que si, como una roca, como que guardo mucho and I need to learn how to like soltarlo, you know? So I
Let
would
it go.
rub my stomach and I would give it love. And I think I still need to do more of that work. How did it kind of, yeah, tell us a little bit more about your process and what you started to do for yourself.
For me, like I said, like I started with doing Reiki, but I don't even know that it was Reiki back then. Like when I had my digestive issues and I was close to going to the hospital and I was like, ain't no way, like let me see what I can auto heal myself without even knowing how to do so. It just felt guided to como dices tú, like you just felt like you were rubbing your stomach, whatever felt good to you that you thought was like yourself guiding you through that healing. Um for me, I did go through an abuse where it just, it affected my sacral chakra. And for those that don't know the sacral chakra is like the feminine or masculine, like at the reproductive system.
Mhm.
And so, as women, we carry so much. from our, not only ourselves, our moms, but our ancestors, seven generations atrás. So sometimes, even though you haven't gone through abuse yourself, I promise you that your ancestors behind you have 100% to 95% gone through abuse. And
Mm.
that's why a lot of people experience PCOS. I had actually a tumor in my cervix, and so it was
Mm.
like all these stuff that, and like so much pain and in that area. It como dices tú, it was just there because I didn't know how to release, how to let go, and so I started to walk myself through like guided meditations of my womb and just
Mm.
feeling the energy of the womb and being able to let go of that trauma, because we store not just abuse but also childhood trauma. Like our uterus are not meant to hold that kind of trauma or space for trauma. It's used to be a portal for to
Mm.
create things, not to store. When you start to store, that's when you create a whole bunch of issues like the cervical tumor, polyps, PCOS. You start seeing all this type of issues with your uterus, with your ovaries, because of that storing. And for me, I work a lot with crystals, meditating, and just guiding my body to what it wants to do. A veces I lay down and I'm just like, como dices tú, moving my hands, or sometimes I'm just letting my spirit guides tap in and do what they need to do. Because I also invite them in
Mm.
every session to help me, especially Archangel Raphael. He's the Archangel of healing. And so he's one that's been really, really present in all of my meditations. There's times for me, I don't want to meditate. And for me, I feel stagnant energy, I start to dance. I start to move the
Mm.
hips, because a lot of people don't think that meditation could be dancing, but yes, you start to like let go, let your body express, push it out, like explore your feminine energy, your sexuality. So in that sense as well, and another way is a través del canto. So I like to
Mm.
sing kind of like ah, like when you use the word ah, where it's like you're letting out, like ah, like opening up, because the throat chakra is connected to your cervix. So if you look at the anatomy of it, they're very similar. They're portals, so they connect to each other. So when you're using the expression of a word of like ah, letting it out, and the movement, it creates such a dynamic that allows you to like release and let go. Or if you want to bring in like energy, you use a like the M, kind of like inward.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
it's just one of those things that I've been learning and tapping into. And I've done so much healing because, like I said, I have a lot of back issues. I have dealt with a lot of the same issue of not being able to let go. When there's a lot of stress here, it's connected because there's a lot going on in your sacral chakra, so they're connected together.
Mm. Yeah. Ooh. All of that is so interesting. I love that you're tapping into that knowledge and yeah, kind of like
hmm
connecting dots, right? And I think like that's what's
Yeah.
so special when we get to do it also with our first gen experience so that when we work with first gens, it's like for example, I know that a lot of first gens have shoulder issues and have a lot of like acá arriba porque they carry so
hmm
much. Or a lot of first gens, like energetically, I have felt like a tight little ball in their stomach. Their energy is constricted. It's not,
hmm
you know, when you exhale and you
Yeah.
release y todo como que flowy, así como tú lo haces con tu baile, our energy is usually never flowy in our body. It's like, you know, like really tight in our stomach. And so I think it's so cool that both of us kind of intuitively are starting to tap into that knowledge. And now we can start helping people también con eso. Um, and also, when you were mentioning like your back, like how, you know, if we don't address certain things, other parts of us overcompensate. It might not be that our, let's say, our right shoulder is actually what's the root. So, like, maybe we look up what does it mean when you have pain in your right shoulder? What comes up doesn't resonate. Okay, but maybe you're leaning a lot on your right side because your left side algo pasó, no sé, como maybe your creative side is
Yeah.
disconnected. So now you're leaning in your logical side. And so now your right side hurts, or feminine and masculine. And so it's so interesting también como
Yeah.
how when we don't address one, other stuff starts to overcompensate and activate también. So like it's all connected. I think we hear that on our paths, but it truly, truly is. You mentioned something beautiful también, like our portals, right? Like our throat and our, I
Mm-hmm.
think you called it the cervix, right? That's
Yeah.
the other
The
one.
cervix. Mm-hmm.
So like the
Uterus,
fact that those
cervix. Yeah.
are, yeah. Oh, the uterus. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just I think such beautiful knowledge that sometimes intuitively a veces las personas en nuestra familia conoce como um, I think of like, por ejemplo, when something scary happens, like a car accident, ay, cómete un pan, right? Like, let's deal with like that area here, your root of safety, ¿verdad? So like, I think like intuitively también some people know certain things, pero when we start to dive into it, it gives us access to a different side of healing, que no solo es medicina o échale ganas o ponte las
Yeah.
pilas. Like, there's so much that beyond that, you know?
For sure, and I like that you say like that sometimes depending on it te duelen las cosas por like can have a meaning because depending on what side too that's hard because I have daddy issues with my dad. I've always been like head like I said bumped, and so like knowing that like the side that I struggle with is corresponding to my dad. It's like one of those things you're like, oh, okay, so it's all connected and it's all mapped out. It's making sense and you're putting the pieces together. And so it's very interesting to tap into that and just be like, I'm not going crazy. My body is telling me I need to let go of this issue that I've been having with my dad for such a long time and working through it and and it's not just working it through it spiritually because I feel like it's all we're our medicine but there's tools that help too. Like I go to therapy, I tend to my body, I do spiritual work, I also make sure that I tap in with friends and have a social life.
Mm.
Like it's all together. It's like every sense of it being like doctors working together versus like if it's just going to therapy, well I feel like it's gonna help but it's also like when you bring all these different dynamics it's like you get the whole teamwork of effort to really try to push that healing and to helping you with doing the further dive of healing in general.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that you're saying that también, porque sí, a veces we can get frustrated, you know, that masculine first gen push through energy where it's like, wait, I already looked this up and it says this. So, like, now I know it should be gone, you know, or like, okay, let me think through real quick. Yeah, I'll release it. But no, of
Yeah.
course, like, the reality is like, this has been in your body for some time. It's going to take some time, you know, to release, to work through, to get to the root of things.
This is why I say it's so important to connect with yourself because if you don't know your body and if you don't know how to connect with yourself, you're not going to understand why is it it's hurting here.
And I also want to name también. I think like as Latinos is also easy to hate going to the doctor, you know?
Yes.
And unfortunately some of our families have experienced the outcome of that in negative ways of like never going to the doctor or the dentist or the optometrist. So like también I want to invite like this is a combo. We're doing a combo of things and seeing what works in each scenario.
No, I like that you mentioned that because it shouldn't be disregarded. Like the medical system is there to help. Like it's an important thing. If something si te estás muriendo, you're not gonna be like, body heal me, like let's do open heart surgery. Like no, that's not how it works either. Like there's
Yeah.
moments, to know how to choose that kind of stuff. But obviously, if it's an emergency and you want a second opinion, and that is definitely something that should be done. Especially like you said, I feel like especially masculine energy tend to be more afraid so to go to the doctor. That's what I've noticed from like my surroundings compared to female energy.
Well, I want to start wrapping this part up, so just want to make some room for like where people can find you, what you do, and we'll wrap up.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, anybody can find me. I just created my Instagram and Facebook for Divina Collective. My Instagram is underscore Divina Collective underscore, and that's how you'll find me.
Yay! Okay. And I'm going to do a speed round of the resource question. So, like asking you about a book, a podcast, a song, and quote. Is there a powerful book or movie that is inspiring to you, changed something within you, helped you in some way that you can recall?
Yes, I actually have it with me. Is the Instant Healing by Serge Kali King? I don't know if it's
Mm,
you guys can see it. I don't know how you
okay.
pronounce it, but this one's really good. Um, because I wanted to tap into like mastering how to heal myself because it's not only through like your your body, but it's also like what you say. Because if I keep saying like, "Oh, I'm sick, I'm
Mm.
sick, I'm sick," I'm gonna keep my body is gonna say, "Oh, well, we're sick." So this has really taught me how to be like, I am healing. Our body is doing better, and
Mm.
so it changes that perspective for me. So this is my go-to as far as playbook.
Okay, instant healing. What about a podcast or music or artist that inspires you or has helped you in your journey?
For artists, the song is called Sam Garrett. I don't know if you heard it. It's Lamshki. With so much going on, it's just the song basically says, "I am love, I am peace." Just
Mm.
basically coming back to yourself, and so it makes me feel like it's one of those songs that just hits home, and it reminds me like, despite of everything going on in the world, like when I hear this song, it's like I'm full of love, I'm full of peace, I'm full of ease, and everything's gonna be okay. So it's giving that like hippie kind of like tone, but like in a good way.
All right, and then quote or advice that you refer back to.
Living your life with no regrets, especially coming from my experience where like I've done a lot of grieving and being like, I used to do this and now I can't do it. So it's like one of those frustrations of
Mm.
like, no, like just because I have a chronic illness doesn't mean I have to stop living. Um, yeah, I think just to live every day un día a la vez, maybe la canción un día a la vez. Take it one day at a time, but don't stop living because of health issues, because of financial issues. Like, do something that's gonna fill you with life and fill your cup.
And lastly, the audience is full of first gens, fellow first gens. So you can speak directly to them, but just leaving them with a mensajito, whatever comes from your corazon.
To my first gender, hearing me, don't give up, but that also means that don't untend your body. Always nurture yourself back. Give yourself that space to tap in with yourself first before giving out to others, because remember that you are priority. Your body is priority, and learn to communicate and have that connection with your body so that you can be able to help others. It's kind of like the same scenario when they tell you in an airplane, are you going to put on the mask of everybody else, or are you going to put yours on so you can help everybody else? So tend to yourself, continue to heal, continue to be a badass or chingon, chingona in a way that you're taking care of yourself.
So beautiful. Thank you so much, Esmeralda. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you check out her work. Cuídense mucho, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you, Brice.